Hello and welcome to Hattie Knits Along. My name's Allison, but my friends call me Hattie, and I'm a knitter living in the Pacific Northwest. On this channel, I like to talk about all things knitting, what I'm working on, what you're working on, and what we are currently nerding out about. In today's episode, I'm going to fill you in on everything that I've been working on so far this month in December. I am usually a pretty monogamous knitter, but this month I casted on a lot of projects that I'm excited about, so I want to fill you in on all of those projects. And at the end of the episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about my new idea for our knit along community. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, I hope you subscribe so you never miss a video, and grab your knitting and let's dig in. Before we get into all of my whips, I wanted to share a couple of finished objects with you. So I did participate in Andrea Mowry's sock challenge over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. So it was a 4-day weekend, and we casted on Thanksgiving morning, and you're supposed to finish by, I think, 9 a.m. Pacific time Monday morning. So I was able to finish the socks in 3 days. I think I finished them on Saturday night maybe. And here they are. I have worn these a couple of times. See them? So the stitch pattern is pretty basic. It's knits and purls, and it's the same pattern for 2 rows and then another pattern for 2 rows, and then you go back and forth between those patterns. So pretty simple, and it's top down with a heel flap, and she even continues the pattern in the heel flap, which is fun. So we were doing, most of the sock knitting is in the round, but we did the heel flap flat, so that was a little bit different. And then the bottom of the foot is stockinette, and you do a simple toe wedge. So it's definitely my kind of construction. The only thing that's different than what I would normally do is it is in sport weight, and she still used size 1 needles even though it was sport weight. So I thought that was interesting, but it gives it a really nice dense fabric, and it is a lesser stitch count than what I would normally cast on for my socks. I usually cast on 64 stitches, and this, I think it was 56. So in that regard, really nice that it works up with the sport weight to be the same size that my fingering weight would feel and on size 1 needles, but with just a little bit of a different stitch count. I used the Wandering Flocks Baby Paca in the color Rainbow Sherbet, and it's a really fun yarn with a mix of alpaca, merino, and nylon. And it is really hard to get a good photograph of this color, but it's a beautiful color with lots of pinks, oranges, purples, and blues in it, and it is sport weight. I have never knit socks with alpaca in it, so I will say that the toe of these socks is already starting to felt a little bit. Let's see if we can see that. Right at the tip of the toe, it's starting to felt. And I do think that it is pilling a little bit. So alpaca being a really soft, fine yarn, it definitely is prone to pilling more than a sturdier yarn would be, but as long as you're prepared for that, it is much warmer than just basic merino is. So these socks, even though they're shorties, are nice and warm and toasty, great for wearing around the house, and the yarn is so soft. I can't stop petting it right now. So this isn't necessarily a sock yarn. Baby Paca is not a sock yarn, but I used it because I knew it had the nylon in it, and I think they still turned out amazing. And I have, let's see, 54 grams left of 100 grams gain. So technically have enough yarn to make a whole nother pair of these. I might make my daughter a matching pair eventually. Not right now, but eventually. So that's my first FO. Oh, one thing I will say also is I do think that this stitch pattern was a little confusing to people. I don't really know why. It's pretty clear in the pattern, but I guess sometimes people read patterns and like guess as to what they're supposed to do or make assumptions instead of reading it thoroughly. I noticed when I was looking at all the finished object pictures that people were posting on the Ravelry group, that I felt like so many of them looked wildly different than mine did. The stitch patterns all looked a little funky and different. I do think it looks different once you block it out versus when it's still on your needles and tight. But also I saw one person knit theirs inside out, so the inside of the stitch pattern became the outside, which it is kind of pretty, but yeah, lots of different things. This pattern can look a lot different depending on the yarn you use, depending on if you read the pattern correctly. I think what was confusing was that it's like 2 rows of the same and then 2 rows of another thing. And people were doing like 1 row of A, 1 row of B, 1 row of A, 1 row of B, instead of 2 of A and 2 of B. And that will give you a different look. So, anyways, I just thought that was really interesting how one pattern could look so different on so many different socks. My other finished object that I have shared a little bit in my Vlogmas, if you watched any of those videos, are my gift socks for my daughter. These are a surprise. She doesn't know that I made them, and I'll hold up. I had this yarn just lying around, and so I decided to make her a pair of socks because it's rainbows and she likes rainbows. It's Lana Grossa's Mylenbite Merino hand dyed. I think the yarn is spun in Italy and dyed in India, and let's see if I have oh yeah. It's Tappy is the name of the colorway. It's 80% merino and 20% polyamide. Anyways, I still have 56 grams of this yarn left too. So maybe one day I will knit a pair that can match her friend or something like that, because she does have a friend that she likes to match with. I think I did 56 stitches on a size 1 needle, and I did 2x1 ribbing for the whole leg and the top of the foot and stockinette for the bottom. And I did a fish lips kiss heel. You can see that. Because she likes a nice snug heel. And then a wedge toe. And yeah, I mean, I think this yarn is interesting. I think it has a lot of like thick and thin parts. So when I was on the thin parts, it felt like this was taking forever, but then the thick parts would work a little faster. And anyways, I do think that they turned out very cute, and I'm excited to give those to her in a few weeks. Let's move into my whips. I have a lot of whips. I have 5 whips right now, which is a lot for me. I usually have one big project and one pair of socks on the needles, so I am fairly monogamous in my knitting, but I think I got really excited by some of the things that I have going on in December and also for gift knitting. So, yeah, so I got 5 things on the needles right now. And it is a little overwhelming in terms of like picking out what I want to knit at a certain time, and I haven't really created a schedule for myself or like a plan of attack of how much I should knit every day. Tell me if you do that. Do you figure out like how many rows of something you need to knit each day in order to have it done by a certain day? I don't do that. I have not thought about that. I don't think ever. But I haven't really been super focused on deadlines that much. And even the things that I'm knitting as Christmas gifts, they have loose deadlines too. Like I could have them done by Christmas or I could not. And the recipient wouldn't mind that much because they live in my house. And so they will get them as soon as I am done with them. But anyways, let's move on. Okay, the first thing I have on the needles still, and I'm putting this out there as an accountability check, is my poly cardigan. I don't know if I want to pull it all out. Let's see. You might remember this beautiful cardigan. And it's, guys, look it. It's pretty much done. I just don't know why I'm not finishing it. I have like maybe 3 more rows to finish on the neckline, and then I have to knit the button band and sew it on. And that is all I have to do. Why is this languishing? I guess I did all the exciting parts and then I ran out of yarn. So I bought a new skein. This is Spinster's Daughter's worsted in the color York. And I bought the new skein, and then after I got it, I just like lost my motivation to do anything. So this is my accountability. Man, wouldn't it be beautiful to wear this on Christmas? It is the perfect colors. Green and reds and purples, and I need to just get it finished. So maybe that will be my main goal for this week, is finish this stinking. Anyways, the poly cardigan, if you don't know, is a pattern by Amy Christoffers of Savory Knitting, and it's a beautiful pattern, and I'm excited to have it as a finished object. I just need to finish it. Next are this is my Sock Squad yarn from Farmer's Daughter Fibers. The colorway was called Mother Magpie, and that is the colorway for this month, December. So here it is, up close and personal. And so it's this beautiful green color, and then this black, and you can see there's like kind of some green mixed into this grayish black. Very, variegated. But when I saw it, I had just watched Wicked in the theater, and I had just finished my Oxbow socks, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are my Glinda socks, and this will be my Elphaba socks. So that's the vibe I was going for. And so I looked up different sock patterns to try and give me the most Elphaba look that I could with this yarn. And I came up with the Mondim socks by Andrea Mowry. And here's what I've got so far. I'm on the ankle. Andrea Mowry loves to design toe-up socks. And my question for her is, why? Why? Why do you want toe-up socks? Why? I don't understand it. If you are a toe-up person, please tell me why. I don't get it. I don't get the hype. I like top-down. Top-down, I can see exactly how long I want my ankle to be, or my, the leg of my sock to be before I start my heel flap. I can do my nice heel flap and gusset that fits my foot so well. And I can measure it on my foot as I'm knitting it to see when I need to start the toe. Like, it's perfect. Why? And also casting on is easy to cast on the cuff stitches. I just do a German twisted cast on, and so it has nice stretch and it looks pretty. I don't understand. Why do we do toe up? Why? Why? This sock is toe up. It starts with a Turkish cast on, which I'm already rebelling because the pattern is written for magic loop and I like to use DPNs. So I was like, well, how do I do a Turkish cast on with DPNs? And I found one video that had instructions. And it was a very good video. Maybe I'll link it below. It worked out really well. I got the Turkish cast on going. It's like that part's not bad, and doing the toe was fine. But I will say, like, one thing that's also nice about top down, you're doing decreases. You're not doing increases. I feel like knitting two together and slip knit is like so much less fussy than trying to do make one right, make one left, and that type of thing. So again, why toe up? I don't understand it. You get this really cute stripe here at the end of the toe, and then you start the pattern, and the pattern is ribbed on the bottom, 2x2 ribbing on the bottom, and some lace work on the top. That also is kind of ribbed. And that part's not bad. So I tried to figure out, like, where am I supposed to start doing the increases for the heel. And they said, like, when you put the sock on, if it hits like the top of where your ankle meets your foot, on the top, then that is a good place to start for the increases. I think it said 3 inches from the end of your heel, which I did not actually measure that, but I did see like hitting the top of my foot. And then I did the increases for the heel, and I did this weird heel flap. When I put this sock on, okay, here's the other thing. She says to use size 1.5 needles and do 60 stitches instead of 64. Well, I think that's for her stitch pattern, so it works out nicely. But I wasn't too worried. I was like, well, it's ribbed, so 60 stitches might be too small, but it's a bigger needle size and it's ribbed, so it should be fine. But it is a little big. It's a little roomy in the sock when I put it on. And I think it's like a little too long. This green heel flap, it goes like just like over the back of my foot and not really on my heel. And in the pictures, that is kind of what it looks like it's supposed to do, but I don't know how I feel. Like, I don't know if I like that look. But here's what I'm going to say. I'm invested already. I have worked many hours on this sock. I have the leg to do and the cuff, and then I have to do the second sock. I'm going to keep going with it. It won't take me that long to finish this one, and then I'll start the second one. My goal is to finish it by the end of the month. Today is December 12th. So I have, I don't know, a few more weeks to finish this. And I really want to have finished a pair of socks every month. I want to finish my Sock Squad socks every month this month, or this year. And this is the last month. I got to do it. So I'm going to finish it. And if I really hate the way they fit in the end, I might give them away, even though it was also my goal to knit them all for myself. But I will give them away if I'm never going to wear them. So I'm going to keep going with that. I think somebody with a slightly larger foot than me would fit them just great. So I'm sure I have friends who have that slightly larger foot. And it is pretty. I do like the way that it like looks. And I think it is the look that I was going for to give me those Elphaba vibes. Oh yeah, the other thing, if I would to knit this pattern again, I would probably just do stockinette on the bottom of the foot, because that would also help with the fit issue. I think it would be tighter if it wasn't ribbing on the bottom of the foot. And almost every sock I've ever knit is stockinette on the bottom and not ribbing. I know DRK Everyday Socks are another pair of toe-up socks that she's designed, and they have ribbing all over as well. So that's something that Andrea Mowry enjoys. But I think the vast majority of patterns are not written that way. So I don't know. That's just interesting to me that it's very different, because I think most sock pattern writers don't write socks like that. I was just looking everywhere for my next work in progress, and I'm pretty sure it's in the car. So I'm not going to go out and get that right now. But I'll tell you a little bit about it. I decided to cast on, I think I have a picture of it, so I can insert a picture. You can see it. I decided to cast on a sock when I went to go see Wicked, and I'm calling it my movie theater socks. I just had some sock yarn lying around that was, it's by Yarnalia. Stormy is the base, and the color is Cherry Blossoms, and it is, I think, maybe a 75-25 blend of merino and nylon, and it's got it's self-striping in a way, not like super straightforward and consistent stripes, but like different colors happening in sequence. And I just did a vanilla sock. I did 64 stitches on size 1. And I had another color way of the same sock base, and I made the same socks, a vanilla sock with them that I like a lot. So I just decided to do that again. I needed something to be working on that was stockinette in the round while I watched the 3-hour movie. And this worked great. I got through the whole cuff and most of the leg. And then I haven't really picked it up since then, which is fine because I'm not in a big rush to have these socks. It's just I needed something to do while I was watching the movie. But I do have some ideas about how I want to do the heel. I've been hearing a lot about a shadow wrap heel. So I have tried, an afterthought heel, and my favorite so far is heel flap and gusset, and then fish lips kiss heel, and now I've just done a fleagle heel on this toe up sock. And so I think a shadow wrap heel might be something I want to try, especially because this yarn is a little thicker than a normal fingering weight like sock yarn. So I don't think it's a full sport weight, but it's just slightly thicker. So the sock's a little bit bigger, and I think having a tighter heel might be nice on these socks. So I think it'll be a fun opportunity to try something out that's a little different, and on socks that I'm not like super precious about. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll keep you updated on how that works out once I get to that project. But that's not like a huge priority for me right now. I do not like having languishing whips though, so hopefully I will finish that in the relative near future. Okay, next is the Anthologies Throw by Helen Stewart. So the Anthology Throw was written for an advent calendar. I don't know which one, but it was written for an advent calendar, I think in 2022, so a few years ago. And I've been seeing it all over YouTube and Instagram, people making this, and I think it is so beautiful and also so interesting that it is circular. So it's a throw. It's going to be, I think, the finished width is supposed to be like 59 inches, so pretty big. And it uses 24 mini skeins from an advent calendar. And I will show you what I've got so far without dropping my yarn. It's hard to see the whole thing because it's on these circular needles. So as you get further out, each row is going to be smaller because the circle is bigger. So how many have I done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm on the 6th colorway. And this is the 6th one. My yarn advent this year is by Botanical Yarns. And it is, let's see, inspired by some wildflowers. And it's very much in a pink gradient right now. So let me show you what I've got so far. So we started out coral up here, got some light pinks, and we're slowly getting darker. We even got some almost reds here, and now we're getting to the purples. Oh, I haven't opened today's yet. Let's do that. Okay, today is kind of a lavender purpley color. Very nice. You can see it. So this was today's. As you can see, I do have some left over from every day that I've done so far. I was weighing them and they are between 4 and 7 grams out of a 20-gram mini skein. So my plan is to cast on some vanilla socks again, but make them striped. So each ball I'll weigh out and split in half and have 2 balls so that I can make the stripes the same size for the different pairs of socks. So I'll keep them in the order that I got them and open them. And yeah, I'll knit them top down. And I think that will be pretty fun and a little different. And so it's kind of fun having some extra. I'm a little confused because the pattern says that she used the whole 20 grams for each stripe, but I'm obviously not using the full 20 grams for each stripe, but I am switching wherever she says to switch, so that way I know that I'm gonna have the right number of stripes in the end. And then on Christmas Day, there's I don't know if it's a full skein or a 50-gram skein, I can't remember, but a little present to open on Christmas Day, which is fun. I almost threw it away. I was getting, I knew I saw it when I opened the box in the first place, but I was getting rid of the big box that it came in, and there's just a bunch of tissue paper and stuff in there, and I just, you know how wives like to just make piles of their boxes and leave them for their husbands to break down and put in the recycling bin? Or is that just me? Anyways, I was adding this to my pile of cardboard boxes, and my husband went to break them down, and he was like, do you need this? And I was like, oh, yes, I would have been very sad if I threw that away. So I did not throw it away, luckily. All right, so this anthology throw is really fun. It's knit in the round. You start with a circular cast on in the middle, and yeah, right there. And then you do increases by doing yarn overs, but not all of these eyelets are increases. So some of this lace work is also to help make it circular without having to do increases every single row. So you're actually you double the stitches by doing knit 1 yarn over every I don't know, 10 to 15 rows or something like that. It's not on an even amount. But other times you're doing knit 2 together yarn over and things like that. Or even there's some bigger eyelets that are double yarn overs. And it mixes it up enough that you don't get too bored, but none of it is hard. So it is very easy to like work on this in the evening when I'm tired and I'm wanting to watch a TV show or something like that. It's really great for that kind of knitting. And also, I'm pretty behind on the colors. I'm not trying to keep up with it every single day. I'm just doing it as I feel up for it, and I don't have any pressure on me to finish it by a certain day. But it might look nice on the back of this couch, where I film my videos. Does pink and blue go together? Maybe so. I don't know. I'll have to see. So that's the anthology throw. And those socks that I want to make, I'm not going to worry about those for a while. We'll get into those maybe in January, February. Actually, they might be cute for like Valentine's Day socks. Maybe I could try to get them done by then. I did decide to sign up for Farmer's Daughter Fibers Sock Squad for next year in 2025. I was on the fence about it, but I saw the palette that they had posted on their Instagram of the colors that they're going to be working with over the next year, and I really liked the colors. I liked them way better than the ones from this year. And I did like the colors from this year, but they were much more like muted and earth tony, and the ones from next year look a lot brighter and colorful. So I'm excited for that. And I do hope to keep up with it because I think it's a really healthy challenge to have a finished sock every month. And I also don't want to like be acquiring all this yarn that I'm never going to work with. Because if I don't work with it like pretty soon after I gather it, then it's probably going to sit on the shelf because Lord knows I will acquire more yarn later on and have to put the old yarn to the side so I can focus on the new yarn. So anyways, that's part of why I want to, if I'm going to subscribe to this subscription set, I want to make sure I'm doing it because I'm using this yarn every month and not just to acquire more things. And my final project on the needles are the cabin slippers by Isolde Teague. These I am also knitting for my daughter. And I do plan to knit another pair for my husband in some leftover mountain mohair that I have by Green Mountain Spinnery. But this one is for my daughter, and I'm using Malabrigo Rios in the color Reflecting Pool. And this is one finished slipper. And that is all I have. I have not cast on the second one. But here's the yarn for it. And she picked this out of my stash. It's a worsted weight. And this is a brioche pattern. I made the size child small, I believe. Which is like for a kid who wears like a 13:1 size shoe, which she is. And we have tried this on several times, so it fits her well. It is a gift for her, but it's not a surprise. And she picked out the yarn and she helped me try it on and stuff. I really love the way this is constructed. It is brioche stitch for the cuff and for the top of the foot. So you start by casting on the cuff and you just work brioche in the round till about here, and then you increase right here, and then you just start knitting back and forth for the top of the foot, and you do that however many times you need for the length of the foot. And then you build up these garter stitch walls on the side of the foot. I can show you those right here. So those are in the round here. So that makes it a little taller, not just so flat. And then starting from the toe, you knit garter stitch sole back and forth. And you do a little bit of shaping for the bottom of the foot. As you can see, like the heel is smaller than the toe. But I thought this was so fun. And once I understood, I haven't done too much brioche, so it took me a little bit of a refresher, and it's definitely not perfect, but whatever. Once oh, and you can roll the cuff down because it's tall enough. That's cute too. Once I figured out the construction of this and where I was going, it went by really fast. It's worsted weight. Her foot is small. It's garter stitch once you get to the side of the foot, and like, yeah, super fast. If now that I know what I'm doing, if I had like 4 or 5 hours on a weekend, I could probably whip out the second one really fast. Not that I'm going to have 4 or 5 hours on a weekend to do that, but I will try my best to get that done by Christmas, and I think it's totally doable. I just need to set some time aside to pick that back up. So as you can see, I am completely overwhelmed with all of my works in progress, and I'm slowly chipping away at all of them. I'm enjoying all of them. I think they're fun. I'm glad I'm knitting them. I just, I'm trying to figure out the flow of it all and when I want to work on different things. Also make these videos for you. That also is pretty time consuming, so. But you're worth it. You're worth it. I wanted to show a couple of acquisitions that I got in the last few weeks, and one of them is this new book, Knits to Wear by Kuto Vakika. Knits to Wear by Kuto Vakika, who is Veronica Lindberg. And she is a very popular knitwear designer out of Finland. And this is her brand new book that my mother-in-law pre-ordered for me for my birthday. And I got it, I think, right around Thanksgiving or so. But it is a beautiful book. First of all, just to look at the pictures, because her husband and they're great photographers and they take all their pictures. But there are some really cute patterns in here as well that I would love to work on. So I'm thinking next year I'm going to pick out a couple of these sweaters and get yarn for them and knit them up. Sorry, I'm looking at the book as I'm talking. But like, okay, look at this one. Can you see it? Isn't that so gorgeous? Anyways, I'm going to spend some time looking through this, picking out some patterns that I want to work on for the next year, and maybe do a couple of them. I'll get into more of my goals for next year once I film my Everything I Knit in 2024 video, which will be coming out in a few weeks. Once I do that, I will be coming up with some goals for my knitting for next year, and I think one of those goals is to knit more sweaters, because I love wearing my sweaters. I wear them constantly, and so I would love to have more to add to that repertoire. But we'll get into that in a future video. The other acquisition I just got today, I thought it would be fun to show you. This giant basket. There's nothing special about it. I got it at TJ Maxx. But the reason why I bought it was because I have this massive pile of whips and I needed a place to put them. So this giant project is going to be my whip. This giant basket is going to be my whip basket. I'm going to put them all in here, and that way they won't just stay cluttered around my room and living room. So that was my last little acquisition. Finally, it's been a few weeks and I haven't talked about what you all are working on in our knit along community. As you might know, if you've watched these videos before, I love to share what you all are working on. Um, I have I ask you to comment down below on my YouTube videos and let me know. And I would love for you to keep doing that. It's so fun to read everybody's projects and to see where you're at in them. But in addition to that, I thought it might be fun if you would send me a DM on Instagram with a picture or even a little video clip of your work in progress that you have on the needles right now, or even a finished object if you have something that you just finished that you are excited about. I would love to get those pictures and even share them in my next videos. So if that is something you're interested in, you can find me on Instagram at Hattie Knits Along. That is hard to say, guys. At Hattie Knits Along. And you can, or like if you're not on Instagram, which is totally fine, you can send me an email. It's hattyknitsalong@gmail.com. So I would be happy to get pictures of your whips and your finished objects and share them here. So make sure in your message you tell me what the project is, who it's by, and what yarn you're using, or any interesting tidbits that you want me to share. I think it's so fun. It's great to be inspired by everybody else in our community, and yeah, and I just really love learning about everything everybody's working on. So that is all I have for today. It's great to be back here on the podcast couch and talking to you all. I hope that you are having a lovely December and that you have great fun plans coming up for the holidays. And I will talk to you later. Bye. Happy knitting.